But our top story tonight. If last week it was Jahangir Puri in the national capital that saw communal divides, this week it's now playing out in Mumbai. This time over Hanuman Chalisa being recited versus Azaan. A new confrontation in a sense is brewing in Mumbai. Today the Bombay High Court stepped in, dismissed a plea by independent MP Navneet Rana and her husband MLA Ravi Rana, who had been arrested yesterday by the Mumbai police after they threatened to recite Hanuman Chalisa outside the Chief Minister's residence. The court said that the FIR against them would not be quashed, saying that they needed to behave with greater responsibility. Remember, the two leaders, as I said, had threatened to chant the Hanuman Chalisa outside the Chief Minister's residence. They are also in jail currently, being booked for sedition. Temperatures are now rising. The BJP and the Shiv Sena are heading for a head-on collision in Maharashtra. Our top story today is how the politics of what I'm going to call the weapons of mass distraction are playing out in India's commercial capital.
Huge embarrassment for Navneet Rana and Ravi Rana, the MP-MLA couple who threatened to recite Hanuman Chalisa outside Chief Minister Uddhav Thakrae's residence and later dropped it. The Ranas, jailed after being booked for alleged sedition and attempt to create enmity between communities, were pulled up by the Bombay High Court on Monday. The court rejected their plea to quash a second FIR filed against them under 353 of IPC for allegedly assaulting a public servant. In its order, the High Court said the Ranas' move to recite Hanuman Chalisa at the CM's house was a breach of personal liberty of Uddhav Thakrae. The court held that the state government is justified in fearing it could create a law and order problem. The court said persons in public life are expected to act responsibly. With great power comes great responsibility, it observed. The High Court order comes even as the state is caught in a political crossfire over Hanuman Chalisa and Azaan.
महिला खासदाराला नामोहरम करण्याकरता पहिल्या दिवशी रिमांडमध्ये वेगळे सेक्शन आणि दुसऱ्या दिवशी सेडिशनचा सेक्शन, राजद्रोहाचा सेक्शन, म्हणजे हनुमान चालीसा म्हटल्यामुळे यांचं राज्य उलथवलं अशा प्रकारचा कट होतो. यापेक्षा हास्यास्पद काय असू शकतं? जय हनुमान ज्ञान गुरुसागर जय कपीसती लोक उजागर रामदूत अतुलित बलधाम अंजनी पुत्र पवन सुत नामा महावीर विक्रम बजरंगी कुमति निवार स्मृति के संगी.
जानबूझ के किसी के ऊपर अटैक नहीं हो रहा है. अभी बीजेपी के कितने नेता हैं, लेकिन दो चार नेता अगर ऐसा एकदम अशांति निर्माण करने के लिए कृत्य करेंगे और पुलिस कार्रवाई नहीं करेगी तो क्या पुलिस चूप बैठेगी?
शिवसेना प्रमुखांचं हिंदुत्व हेच आहे. त्यांनी सांगितलं होतं की मला देवळात घंटा बडवणारा हिंदू नको आहे, मला अतिरेक्यांना बडवणारा हिंदू पाहिजे. हे कुठले आले घंटाधारी हिंदुत्ववादी? घंटाधारी हिंदुत्ववाद्यांनी आम्हाला गदाधारी हिंदुत्ववाद्यांनी हिंदुत्व शिकण्याच्या भानगडीत पडू नये. आमचं हिंदुत्व हे गदाधारी हिंदुत्व आहे.
The BJP boycotted an all-party meeting called by the state government to discuss how to resolve the controversy triggered by calls to ban use of loudspeakers for Azaan. MNS leader Raj Thackeray had threatened to hold aartis and recital of Hanuman Chalisa across Maharashtra if loudspeakers are not restricted. An NCP leader also entered the fray. Famida Hassan has written to Home Minister Amit Shah seeking permission to recite Hanuman Chalisa and hold namaz outside the Prime Minister's residence. Meanwhile, a Maharashtra BJP delegation led by Kirit Somaya met the Home Secretary, raising the alleged attack on him by Shiv Sainiks after he met the Ranas at Khar police station. The Hanuman Chalisa versus Azaan Rao could become a key issue in the BMC election slated this year. The BJP is hoping to unseat the Shiv Sena in India's richest civic body this time. With Ritvik Bhalirao and Pankaj Upadhyay in Mumbai, Bureau Report, India Today.
Let's raise serious questions. Is this polarization a weapon of mass destruction at a time of a slowing economy? Is the Shiv Sena using the Mumbai police to settle scores with its rivals? Is the politics taking a toll on law and order in India's commercial capital? Just some of the questions that we'll raise tonight. Mahesh Bharat, NCP spokesperson. The party has the Home Minister of Maharashtra is from the NCP, Dilip Valse Patil. Tuhin Sinha, BJP spokesperson, joining me. Mr. Tuhin Sinha, you may have heard Priyanka Chaturvedi making it very clear. The BJP is seeking to polarize. These are weapons of mass distraction. This is a country where economic growth is slowing down, where you've got inflation rising. There are far more urgent issues than deciding about whether Hanuman Chalisa should be played on the streets in competition to Azaan. For God's sake, how do you see this? Is this a weapon of mass distraction?
I think what Maharashtra is witnessing today is Ghor Kalyug. A lady who wants to chant Hanuman Chalisa in front of the CM's residence is arrested on charges of sedition. But one of the senior-most leaders of Shiv Sena, Sanjay Raut, who threatens a Dalit lady with words like, I will bury her 12 feet or 20 feet. I don't know how much, good he is at digging these holes. Who says, I will bury her 20 feet under the ground, and post which there is violence. The house of this lady is attacked. Kirit Somaya ji is attacked. No action, or not even the words of this man is condemned. How can recitation of Hanuman Chalisa amount to section 124A being imposed? If at all sedition charges have to be imposed on somebody, why not upon Nawab Malik, the man who is in jail for supposedly cutting deals with men of Dawood Ibrahim? Why not against Anil Deshmukh, who was supposedly running an extortion racket with 2 police officers? So I think there is an absolute lack of comprehension of sections of IPC. There is a very, there is a easy alacrity on the part of Maharashtra government to go against law, to preside over mismanagement of laws.
I'll get Mr. Tapse to respond over the alleged misuse of the law, especially the law of sedition. You have a strong point on that, but I want to ask you one small thing before I go to him. Is it Hanuman Chalisa reciting it outside the Chief Minister's residence devotion, or is it politics? Is this something you approve? No, 1 minute. Is it something you approve of? Should elected representatives be going outside the Chief Minister's residence to recite Hanuman Chalisa? You are converting a devotional prayer into a political tamasha? You approve of it?
No. First of all, our approval or disapproval does not matter, because this is not something which was done by us. We only got involved when law was misused and, sedition charges were imposed upon this lady.
Otherwise, you approve of it, sir. Sir, I'll come to the sedition bit, but do you approve of it? Sir, Tuhin Sinha, do you approve of it?
It is the Maharashtra CM.
Sir, do you approve of such behavior? Do you believe it's the right thing to do to take Hanuman Chalisa outside the Chief Minister's residence? Simple question, yes or no?
No, ideally no. But like I said, it is our approval or disapproval does not matter. We only got involved when law was misused to, employ sedition charges against her. Okay. And we will get involved whether it is anybody.
Let Mahesh Tapse respond to that, because Mahesh Tapse, anybody who has an understanding of sedition laws, just a minute, sir, anybody who has an understanding of sedition laws will know that you are misusing sedition. What is anti-national? Let's assume that you have even filed under section 153A saying that this is being used to divide communities. There you may have an argument, but that the court will decide. The fact though is it right to file sedition? You are then doing exactly what you accuse the BJP at the center of doing, of misusing sedition.
Good evening, Rajdeep ji and all viewers. Let me tell you here that I want to make one point before I answer your question. I would have personally, in my personal capacity, hailed the Rana couples if they would have come into Mumbai in love and devotion of Lord Hanumanji. But in front of the media, when the media asked Ravi Rana to recite the verses from the Hanuman Chalisa, he could not even recite 2 verses. So what does it mean? His entire drama to come from Amravati into Mumbai opposite and trying to recite the Hanuman Chalisa opposite the residence of the Chief Minister of Maharashtra was only to incite communal tension in the state of Maharashtra. The BJP from the last 2.5 years has been trying to do, they've been trying to break the MNAs, they are trying to malign the image of the Mahavikas Agadi.
How is it sedition? Sir, Mahesh Tapse, we've heard you out on that. How is it sedition? That's where it is overreach.
Sedition is not out of the event attempt to recite the Hanuman Chalisa. It is trying to bring disrepute to the government of Maharashtra, to the head of the government of Maharashtra, and that is exactly what Section 124A says. It says attempt to incite disaffection towards the government established by law. It is against the government. So the entire agenda, wherein Raj Thackeray ji, he started it first. He started about talking about the loudspeakers on the mosque. He said, bring down the loudspeakers or we'll play Hanuman Chalisa. I mean, what does the law of the land say? What does the Supreme Court rulings regarding loudspeakers say? It is clearly understood by all of us that loudspeakers are allowed to be played by anybody between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. If not, what did Mr. Praveen Togadia say? When Raj Thackeray made this statement, what did Praveen Togadia say? Praveen Togadia said that when the BJP was in power in the state of Maharashtra, and now that they are in the power in the center, they should come out with a composite law, which is applicable to the whole country. Okay. Today when we had a all-party meet, all the party leaders voiced the same opinion that we should have a composite law which will encompass all the states. So this thing will not be there. But to do something and not do something when you are in power and talk about something when you are out of power clearly signifies the political agenda.
Okay, so you're saying there should be a common law across the country for loudspeakers. But Tuhin Sinha, if you see what the Bombay High Court has said, they have said you are public representatives, you have to act with public responsibility. Here are an MLA MP whom you are supporting. 1 minute, sir. This is the same MP who today has a serious charge against her for allegedly forging a caste certificate. The case is being heard. A verdict is likely to be pronounced shortly. This is the same MP who in 2019 had objected to the chanting of Jai Shri Ram in her constituency of Amravati. Is the BJP simply trying to ride on the back of Raj Thackeray one day, the Rana couple the next day, to somehow or the other create trouble for the Maharashtra government and distract from the real issues? Are the real issues of this country loudspeaker or Hanuman Chalisa versus Azaan in the 2022?
Our involvement with this particular issue is restricted to the way she was arrested on false charges and the way her house was attacked. Because in the last 2 years, we have seen our social media warrior, somebody called Samit Thakkar, was put in jail for 2 months merely for calling the CM Aurangzeb. It is the breakdown of the law and order machinery that we are concerned about. And subsequently, you saw how Kirit Somayaji was attacked by 80 Shiv Sainiks. And this is the third time he has been attacked in the last 1 month. This is not how a state is run. You told me about the Bombay High Court's observation today that a public representative has a certain responsibility. By the same yardstick, the responsibility of the CM is a lot more over here. And a CM should behave responsibly. Again, none of the representatives over here have been able to justify the sedition charge. Neither Mr. Tapse nor Mrs. Chaturvedi. And I wish you had asked Mrs. Chaturvedi about her thoughts on what Mr. Sanjay Raut said. Does she condone that language?
Tuhin Sinha, I want to just add one small
Mahesh Tapse. No, Mahesh Tapse. 1 minute. Mahesh Tapse, law and order is a state subject. Law and order, the buck stops with your government. The fact is that your government, Mr. Kirit Somaya is attacked allegedly by Shiv Sainiks outside the police station. When he goes, nothing happens. You've got a situation, therefore, that it seems that you are also giving an impunity to Shiv Sainiks to do what they want. I mean, you can't surround the house of the Rana couple in the way the Shiv Sainiks had done. There must be limit. There's a Lakshman Rekha. Maharashtra needs to also ensure, the government needs to ensure law and order is observed. Shiv Sainiks cannot take the law into their own hands, be it Sanjay Raut or be it any Shiv Sainik.
I agree with you, Rajdeep ji, and you're absolutely right when you say that why Shiv Sena has not been. But just to tell you, all your viewers, that 15 Shiv Sainiks had been booked, including the ex-mayor of Mumbai, for inciting whatever that violence and whatever happened with Kirit by Somaya. So it's not that only Ranas have been booked. 15 Shiv Sainiks and an ex-mayor of Mumbai also has been booked by the Mumbai police. This shows that Mumbai police is working without any fear and favor. So there is no fear and no favor. Mumbai police is doing what is right and what is called for and what is admissible in the court of law. I'm not here to justify the sections which has been put and which has not been put. Right. But again and again, I have to make a very humble submission that Hanuman Chalisa Chalisa and 124A have nothing to do. Hanuman Chalisa is being used as a bait. They are trying to invoke some kind of a religious favor. Look what has happened. Like, Uddhav Thackeray is not following the legacy of great Balasaheb Thackeray, who stood for Hindutva. Hindutva, I mean, who are they to teach Shiv Sena their Hindutva? They have their own agenda, their own political party, they have their own, ways and means to work the government. But why are you so disturbed? I mean, Tuhin Sinha, you have to tell your people in Maharashtra and you have to tell your people in Delhi, okay, 2019 you are not in power, 2024 try whatever resources that you have now. Why are you still behind the Shiv Sena? Okay. Why are you trying to tell the cadre that he has forgotten late Balasaheb Thackeray's legacy, that he is...
Let me, Mahesh Bharat, you've made your point. Tuhin Sinha has made his point. There are two sides, as always, that we give equal space to. It's clear that what is happening in Maharashtra is deeply unfortunate. It shouldn't fit within the political culture of the times in which we live. There are bigger issues before us. But I appreciate both of you joining us. And